So I was born into an instant community. As the 11th of 12 children, I learned early on that my ideas and opinions were not the only ones that mattered, and I had to learn to work with others. 8 brothers and 3 sisters. And while there wasn't much space in the house to change your mind, there was always room at the table. Needless to say, we had to have a very long table. It was my great-grandmother's wooden table, and there were scratches on it and indications of years of use. But what was magical about it was that you could add leaves to it and it would expand. And sometimes we had over 20 people sitting at our table. Often, it wasn't just us, but it was neighbor kids and relatives and all sorts of people from around the world who would come home with my brothers and sisters during college break, and they had nowhere else to go. So we had this table of multi-continents and diverse beliefs. And I love that feeling of sitting in community with all the people. We ate magical dishes, had wonderful conversations, and with 8 brothers, you know we had some major debates. And that shaped the way I serve my community today. As a mom and an activist, I set the table for others because I know it is essential that everyone has a place. Unfortunately, in a world that values hyper-individualism, it's easy to feel that you don't have a place. Our studies are showing the rise of mental illness, as is the division among people. And a lot of this anxiety is creating so much division in our society that we feel this disease of isolation. And when I think about that, I ran for public office. When I ran for public office, I witnessed that so much of this division is artificial. It's created by fear and anger. Our leaders used to meet together after session and have dinner together and hash out solutions. They don't do that so much now. Civil outrage gets more attention, and it feels really risky to think about going face to face. But it is exactly what our communities need today. This idea of connecting with one another, one-to-one, it's what we are made for. And like my dad would say, you all need to learn to get along. This is our way to learn to get along, to come back to the table. So I decided to open a cafe to create that welcoming space for people in my community from all walks of life to gather. And as you can see, it's in an old house. The rooms are kind of tiny, the tables are close, and it forces intimate conversations. And today I can tell you, we have grown the space, and there are conversations happening at these tables that weren't there before. And that growing energy is bringing more people in, and we are seeing that the locals are using this space to uplift and inspire each other. It's really transformative what we can do when we're together at the table. It's not always easy. As you can imagine, sometimes we have some tense conversations, but we find ways to bond and new ways to get along. And a table could be anywhere. This is a board meeting my husband and I have invented. Literally, you could take a board and make a table space. Because what a table is the shared space, it's the metaphor. A table is a metaphor for the shared space between humans, and it could be anywhere. So, how do you create this sense of table everywhere? Well, as you can see, I've been working on this for a very long time. This is actually me probably 50 years ago. And we need a recipe, like with any successful venture. you need a great recipe. So let's make one. Number 1, marinate. When you have the opportunity and you're in the presence of other people, let that energy sink in and look up. Get off your phones, look up, and do a quarter turn to either side and see who is there. Find out a new connection. Number 2, blend. The whole idea of a table is that you come together with the potluck of personalities and all that innovation comes together. Let it blend. Take the opportunity to listen to each other and don't try to look for ways to connect instead of ways to be offended, and see what can happen. Last one is stir it up. Take time to organize community potlucks and neighborhood gatherings where everyone can come and gather, and do community tables when you go out to eat or go to events. That's how I met my husband. And it can be really a magical experience. But we can transform our communities by coming together and connecting this way, one table at a time. So when you think about the power of all of us coming to the table, you probably think, yeah, right. Don't you see what's going on out there? Don't you see how people post online and the feelings that are out there? Let me let you in on something I have learned. That when we are face to face, there's a whole nother magic that is so much bigger than when we hide behind screens. Because we are built for this, and that the universe and the energy of nature conspires with us to make this happen. When two people are standing next to each other, the electromagnetic field, which we can't see, actually binds us to one another, and our hearts literally start to beat together. At our core, we were meant to get along. And we can do this in our communities today by taking this opportunity of coming together at the table and making space for one another. I want to close with this. Margaret Mead, so many of you I'm sure know who Margaret Mead is. She's a world-renowned anthropologist. And she was asked, when did civil society begin? What was the sign? And she said, it was a healed thigh bone. Because in early times, when our ancestors were probably gathering around a rock, even though we now gather around tables, they were gathering around a rock. A broken bone meant sure death. But a healed bone was a sign that someone took time and space for the wounded and helped them heal. Our ability to come together at the table allows us to make space for one another and to stand with the wounded parts of our society. And we talked about it earlier. There are so many empty chairs at our tables that were caused by loss and maybe misunderstanding and division. This is an opportunity for us to pull that back and to create that space in our communities, to become the wounded healers that could truly transform our communities one table at a time. It really will change your life. And I invite you to take the time and make the space to invite someone to the table and see how it can transform your life. Thank you.